David Hewlett here. And this is actually a burn and learn. It's a weird one, though, because between the burn and the learn part that I've done, so I've done the exercise, but a bit of a rush this morning. So I then went and took the dog out, had a shower, and got myself all cleaned up. And now I'm here with you to enjoy my reward for the time I spent on the torture device. I got up really early this morning. Well, not really early, but early for me. I got up at like 8 and did a little exercise. And I'm competing with washing machines and Jane teaching upstairs and stuff right now. But I just thought I'd do this because I don't know. I feel like I need it. What can I say? Even though I'm going to be doing another live chat soon. We've got an amazing. I'm with Stargate Genius today, by the way. I'm talking to James Gurney. We're going to be talking about bacterial phages and all the wonderful things that biology can do, should do, shouldn't do, all those sort of things. Just an amazing guy, a friend of mine, and I cannot wait to sit down and talk with him. I think you're gonna love it. So that's happening at 1:00. But between now and then, I thought I'd better get myself a little burn and learn time in here. All right, I got that sorted out. So I should get the chat going so I could see watching SGA while watching you too. My God, that's just too much. That's too much McCain attached. It's too much. Good time zone chat. Hi, you go for Fluffernut, Nixie, Tardis and Timbits again. Thank you, Ivan. So yes, hello all. So this is my burn and learn. This is my bit to stay alive and fit long enough to raise, well, I guess I kind of raised him already. He's sort of on his own now, isn't he? My fabulous son, and to enjoy the, my retirement years with my brilliant, beautiful, fabulous, wonderful wife, Jane, and our menagerie of pets, which I loathe. I couldn't even get the gecko to say hi this morning. I go to give food, and normally he comes out, he's like, nah, 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 and eats the food out of my hand. But today I was like, nope, I want nothing to do with you. So I was like, all right, fine. Huzzah, on the other hand, it always wants attention. So Huzzah was out for a dog walk with my friend Jimmy Key, and it was lovely. Yeah, it was lovely to catch up with him, get a little autumnal air, wander around, get even more exercise. I'm going to be wiped out today. I mean, I'm the least fit person alive, and I've done more exercise today already than my feeble frame is able to deal with. But let's talk burn and learn. Okay, so I hate the exercise, so I like to learn something while I'm doing it. What I learned, again, I've got this book, this Technological Republic by, what is his crazy name? The guy who runs Palantir. And, in a nutshell, I would say this book is about deterrence. This guy really believes in the idea that, using technology as we have nuclear weapons to deter our enemy is the solution to staying on top as a country. And this is, of course, talking about America. And it's definitely a very appealing argument that he's making, that we don't want to be worried about, we don't want to offend people. We don't want to cause a fuss and peace, not war, and all this stuff. He says, yeah, well, that's all very good and well, but you need to be able to protect yourself. And to protect yourself, you need to build up weapons and strategies and I guess a position in the world for yourself where people are too scared to respond, which sort of fills me with dread, but at the same time, there's an inkling of truth there. He raises a really interesting historical connection here, where he talks about the Nobel Prize. The guy who invented the Nobel Prize invented dynamite, and originally his idea was that it should only be used for good. It's only used for building railways and exploring or whatever the hell else you do with explosives. And then as he became older and became more sort of pragmatic about it, he was like, well, no, I think actually what we need is better weapons, because the better weapons we have, the more unlikely we are to be invaded or attacked. I don't know how much validity that has. And like I say, it does make me a little nervous, especially with, a company like Palantir, which just has such, in my mind, such sort of dodgy record with this stuff. I don't know that the government should be using it to identify, immigration issues instead of the the tools we've had up until now, and the system we've had up until now, and also, arresting people without due courses just seems extraordinary to me. I can't believe that's happening. And apparently, I don't know if Palantir specifically is being used, but I know that a lot of technologies that would have been militarized after 9/11, Palantir was one of the ones that sort of came to the forefront after 9/11. These information gathering corporations, basically. His point was that we should be in service of our government and our freedom. That instead of the brilliant and best and brightest minds of our generation trying to figure out how to share photos and tag each other, that they should be working towards some kind of a technological republic that would allow us to maintain superiority and peaceful intents across the planet. Problem is, what happens if you don't have peaceful intents and you're running that stuff? That's the concern. What's funny is a lot of the things that are voiced here, things like, why, that there were Google employees and Microsoft employees, and I guess it was also OpenAI also had problems with their staff, where the people who were in charge of the technology creating this stuff, were, when they found out that there was a possibility they could be selling their wares to governments or to the U.S. government, a lot of people fought back on that and said, no, we don't want to do that. And in a couple of cases, they were sort of forced to step back on that stuff. But it is an interesting point. One of the things he said, which I thought was kind of interesting, was, what if we could have like a technological Peace Corps? Like, could there be a place for young, bright minds to go to consider the problems of technological warfare? He's saying that we've moved out of it. The atomic age is over. This whole nuclear thing is done. It's not done, but that we are now in an age of software warfare. The idea that we're still investing in hardware, and the reality is we should be investing much more in software, because the idea that our whatever they are, F-34s or one of the latest warplanes that we have are going to be flown by humans in 2080 seems unlikely. The idea that we need to embrace this idea of drones for warfare, and I'm assuming that includes cybersecurity and all sorts of stuff like that. The fact of the matter is that we need to be investing in that. That's what he's saying. And I'm sort of, again, like I say, I'm torn on it, because I'm of a generation that's never had to deal with war. I mean, other than foreign wars. There was, obviously 9/11 and terrorist related stuff, but for the most part, we've lived without a world war since America dropped those 2 bombs. And America's the only country that's dropped nuclear weapons on a population. I mean, that's a weird thing you think about. Like, it ended the war, but also we dropped nuclear weapons on people. So I'm really torn on this technology thing. I'm very curious to see where he goes with it. It worries me a little bit that the stuff that I'm hearing him say, I'm hearing parroted out by politicians now. And I just hope that they're not just taking it from this one guy, that there are other people who may have perspectives on this. I'm a little concerned about that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, we talk about Trump complaining about how little the Europe pays to the security of the world, the defense. Their defense spending is 1-2% or whatever it is, when it should be much higher. And even Barack Obama was complaining about that too. I mean, he was talking about freeloaders in Europe before that as well. I guess the thing that comes up for me is this split between my morals and my practicality. The pragmatism of, like, well, I don't like this, but is this something that we do need to consider? Anyways, I'm going to recommend this book so far because I'm fascinated by it. It's called Technological Republic. It's the guy's name, I think I said it yesterday, I can't remember, but he's the guy who runs Palantir. It's not hard to find. If you look up Palantir and Technological Republic. You'll find the book if you want to listen to it as well. I was talking to Sophos cybersecurity expert last Friday. They are dealing with cyber attacks on a growing basis, so they are at war in one sense. Yeah, Mark O'Donnell. That's an interesting point. I mean, the reality is that there's been a lot of sort of poking and prodding and testing our resilience and our ability to protect ourselves. And if we don't step up to this stuff, then I guess someone else will. The question is, are we the good guys? And that's the other thing, right? I mean, we've made some pretty questionable decisions as Americans. And I will just stress this again. While I live in Canada, I am American and British and Canadian. I have passports for all of them. So I feel like I have certainly a right to speak to this, especially as someone who spent money, time, and resources and effort to get to the States and to get to the point where I could earn my American citizenship. A decision that I will admit I question right now, because I worry about the way things are going in the States. But my son is American. My son was born in America. He is, while he is probably more Canadian than American because he spent most of his life up here now. I would be very nervous to lose the ability to come and go from his birthplace without have to deal with the possibility of not being able to go down if that's somewhere he chooses to go. And also, you want options. You get as you're a young fellow, you want options. You want to be able to go different places. All right, Tarzan Nibbit, still need to fully explore our oceans too. Yeah, no, it's true. What do we got here? I learned everything I need to learn about nuclear weapons when I heard of Tsar Bomb. They made it 2 times less powerful so it would not crack the planet. Such awful power. Yeah, this is the thing, though, that he says about the whole idea of nuclear weapons is as a deterrent, is using them as a deterrent. We've had, was it over 80 years of non-world conflicts. Although again, as I find myself saying that, I feel like a bit of I'm sort of picking and choosing my. There's some parts of the world who very rightly would say, no, we're at war. We've been at war for ages. So it's just, I guess, our sort of privileged position here in North America. But and again, that comes down to that question of sure, we should we have superiority? We think we've got the right answers for people. I don't think we have the right answers for people right now. I don't think if we had unquestioned superiority across the planet right now, that we would be making the right decisions. And one of his concerns is that the people who are the only people who want to come to power now are people who are showmen, people who want to air their dirty laundry, who want to confront and to shock and the idea that ever since sort of Nixon having to announce to the world his mortgage and mortgage payments, that just to prove that he was, not very well, obviously. But at the time he was sort of required to sort of prove his level of income. Again, I think there's ways around all of this stuff. And obviously Nixon, God knows what was going on there. I don't know enough about the history, but just the idea that since around that era, we have expected our politicians to be as wonderful behind the scenes as they are in the world view. And I guess that's something that just wasn't possible before then. You could hide your true nature and your life behind that anonymity that just isn't available anymore. So I suppose we are by technological decree, basically, we have to share more of our lives than probably most politicians would like anyways. So it definitely brings in a different type of person to politics than would have turned up before. And I think that is a sad truth that I would agree with. Again, this is the stuff I remember having this discussion with my son about, him watching a video about very questionable people talking about very questionable things. And, his point was, yeah, but that's right. And I was like, yeah, no, there's going to be you have to, the whole point of critical thinking, the whole point of the freedom of speech is that you want to be able to see and listen and hear what's going on, and then you pick and choose the parts that are legit, and you make sure you follow up on them, and you make sure that you look at them critically and figure out whether these are legitimate or not, whether they're backed by science, whether they're backed by numbers, whether they're backed by history. So yeah, the book has really got me thinking. I got to say, it's a book. It's an audio book. I'm not kidding anybody. I'm trying to read while I'm rowing back and forth, doing my 30 minutes of exercise in my head. Okay, wow, I'm really behind on chats. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to go to the end. Here you go. Hope yourself is safe where you are. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Dr. 8180. Where did you come in? I'm going way behind here. Well, welcome, Dr. 8180. I am now looking to see if I can find when you first popped in here, because I don't see your chat for some reason. Greetings from Germany. Thank you, Martina. I backed a Kickstarter for what? Nice quick game, great for killing time while switching more involved games. Oh, really? We'll share on Discord. It's a card-based game. I do quite like card-based games. It's true. Joseph from Hungary, Central Europe. Oh, I know Hungary well. Lovely place. The Exploding Kittens. Exploding Kittens is fantastic. Good morning, Xenos. How are you? When we first moved to Illinois, there was snow on the ground. She was a Florida cat before that and liked to escape. She tried to escape as we were moving in and ran right back in after hitting snow. That's cats. Two things. Hello, Kathleen. Hello, Heather. Ivan. David here talks about explosives and weapons, and you guys talking about kitties. It's true. Exploding Kittens. There you go. We can talk about everything. It's good. Our cats. Oh God. Yeah. No, I'm afraid I can't do cats. Dr. 8180 is from Ukraine, David. Well, welcome. Ukraine's a perfect example, right? I think that is both Europe and America and the world not standing up to an obvious and shameless invasion of an independent country. It's just absolutely, it's disgusting that it happened. It's disgusting that we let it get to that. And I think, this is the same kind of stuff that world gobbling leaders of the past have done. This, like, let's push and push and push and see how far we can go, and how much land and how much control we can get before someone, even just slaps our hand. Like, I feel like, we haven't even really done a very good job of that. I feel it seems extraordinary to me that we're sending aircraft carriers into Venezuela, but we're not doing a better job of supporting Ukraine in its defense of its country against a massive and megalomaniac run superpower. It's just extraordinary. But yes, hello, Dr. 8180. It's good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. So are you a Doctor or Doctor Who fan? That's a good question. There you go. Morning, Joe. How are you, Joe? So today, we got some stuff coming up. We got some stuff coming up today. 1 o'clock, James Gurney. I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I sent out I'm with Stargate Genius is the name of the chat. I sent out a email of awesomeness the other night just to let people know about this and say hi. I just like to keep people involved in stuff, and I find email preferable to social media. I'm still using the social media, but I don't know. It just feels a little less sullied by advertising and all the sort of the nonsense, political nonsense and misinformation and stuff. And this is just a newsletter. It's basically just an email I send out to people, and I love it. I'm very inconsistent with it, but I do love doing it. So that's the email of awesomeness, and I sent it out the other day with a little bit of info about what Sarah was up to. Who was just, what a great chat that was yesterday, wasn't it? She is fabulous. I'm still energized by that, and I will be even more when I talk to James today. I guarantee you. So James, I watched sort of as to freshen my memory on some of the stuff he'd been working on. I went over and had a look at his channel, which I think I shared in as a link as well. And I watched the Kurzgesagt on the phages, bacterial phages, which is just, they are so good at what they do, those folks. And the fact that James works with them on their videos is I think another sort of added bonus and reason for tuning in, because he's got some really interesting takes on that as well. So you know, we've got the guy who people go to get the info. I mean, and we got a direct connect to that. So make sure you come by at 1 o'clock and join us for that. So the Doctor is a McKay reference, even better. Woohoo! Yeah, Doctor, I love it. It's like the other Doctor? No, McKay. That is Dr. Rodney McKay. Well, welcome, Doctor. I'm glad you could join us. Was it Dr. 8180? The Dr. 8180, Stargate fan. Thank you very, very much for joining us and for letting us know where you're from. Good morning from Park County, Indiana. Anthony Thompson, good to you. We did stop Saddam because we could seize his oil. We know we cannot seize Russia's oil fields, and we do not have Halliburton running the country. Yeah, I mean, but this is the stuff I question, is whether we are in fact the good guys. You know what I mean? Like, going into the Middle East the way we did back then, I just in what we know now about it, I don't think it would have been a choice that made sense. That said, you know, given the information we had, I guess we did what we could. But and it's easy for me to say sitting here. I mean, that's the other thing is, I mean, keep in mind, these are just me nattering on about this stuff. I don't have any, you know, I've never been in the military. I've never done any of that, any of the hard work and any of the necessary sacrifices to keep us free and clear of these, you know, of the greater evils in the world. I worry when I see a complete lack of empathy coming from the top in America now, and a complete lack of interest in making any of those sacrifices, in even, you know, even just the sheer boldface pride in avoiding taxes, avoiding having to spend too much money, avoiding paying people living wages, avoiding paying for their food. I mean, like, I just feel like this is what concerns me when you talk about a technological republic. I mean, if you can make it more efficient and make it so that there are less people starving, and we can take down the whatever 40 million people who are on food stamps down to 4 million, and even that's too many if you ask me. But still, if we could reduce that with technological solutions, then I'm obviously all for that. I just worry that so much spending right now is going on to the immigration, the ICE part of Homeland Security and stuff, and I just, that seems like misguided funds and money, and especially for a country that's, you know, welcomes the huddled masses. I mean, the whole point of America's built on, there's no one unless you're indigenous, then we're all immigrants. I mean, at some point, you know, I just feel like there was a I can't remember what the guy's name was now. Anyways, I'll think of it in a second. But you know, just the idea that we're fighting each other instead of working towards some kind of greater good. And so when these technologies are being developed, I mean, I remember the fear when people thought about what happens. I mean, what happens when you hand one of those humanoid robots an AK-47 and send them into, I don't know, wherever. Send them into Ukraine, send them into wherever, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, what happens there? At first, you're going to have if you've got the advantage on it, you're gonna have horrible mass casualties. If you know, I mean, yeah, actually might work for Ukraine, I suppose. If Ukraine could have more advanced technological weapons and robotics, then they can keep Russia's I shouldn't say even Russia, because I'm not even sure it is Russia. I think it's more Putin than anything else. Putin and his misinformation. If we can keep Putin out of there with technology, then I think we should. Now that said, which doesn't mean they're not going to develop stuff themselves. So I suppose in an ideal world, you have robots fighting robots, and no one dies. And then if that's how the victor is decided, then I suppose yes, we should definitely be developing as much as we possibly can. As long as that software defense or deterrence that we're looking to build is about threatening infrastructure. I guess you're still threatening lives, though, aren't you? I mean, sorry, I'm just sort of thinking it through as I go. But again, this is the beauty of these books. The beauty of stuff is, like, I love reading books by people who I don't particularly like or trust. In this case, I don't know whether I know the guy. I don't know the guy enough to know whether I like him or not. But I've certainly heard a lot of negative stuff in my sort of progressive media stuff about him, because it is not a popular opinion or position to take that we should be weaponizing our technology more. His point about that, though, is like, well, we are anyways. Like, we're weaponizing it for corporations. I mean, we're weaponizing the collection of data with Facebook and Google and Apple, and they're all getting all this information, and they're using it. Instead of using it to kill people, they're using it to, well, in some cases, I suppose, to sell us food we don't need and treats we don't, that aren't good for us, and everything from vapes to home appliances and stuff. I mean, we're being sold stuff with that information. Would it maybe be better to be investing that brain power into creating a better system for both the people at home and a defendable country in positions of power, so that we can hopefully be able to help people in need if things like Putin's invasion of Ukraine happens. The problem is that, look, we have that power. We're not using it. You know what I mean? Yes, we're sending money, and I understand that there's a diplomacy and you don't want to get into a third world war and everything. But the reality is, like, I mean, it's like, I feel like no one's going to make any changes until it affects them specifically. Until they're Ukraine, until they're the immigrants being just dragged off the streets, until they are having their own freedoms and rights threatened. I feel like we don't respond until then. I mean, we don't think ahead enough to be doing that, and that's weird coming from a guy who for me there's like a little tiny past and a little tiny future, and I'm right here because that's the way my brain works. It's very hard for me to plan ahead, but there are people who'd be better at this, who I feel should be more on top of it. It just seems very sort of short-sighted to me. But anyways, it's going to be fun to talk to James. Well, maybe we'll touch on this with James as well, because how these things can be, how these biological elements can be used as well, because he doesn't even talk about that really in this so far. He's just talking about a software type approach to stuff, and it does feel a little bit like you could, at the back of my mind the whole time, I keep thinking, like, he's selling Palantir. He's selling funding to Palantir. He's definitely selling something for sure. And there's a lot of money obviously to be made in the military industrial complex. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. I got to say, even if you don't agree with it, I look, there's another book that I read that I didn't agree with that I enjoyed. Was the one that Elizabeth with the Z gave me, which was the AI con, which is a very negative take on the AI industry, but fascinating, and some very valid points about concerns and sort of fallacies that these large companies are presenting to people. So, oh wow, oh boy, the chat. Just saw Gala Mavastile's message. Hope it doesn't get too political. Too late. Women are bad leaders. Really? Is that what you think, Zappersolo? I think, frankly, the men should probably just step down and let women handle it, because I think men are bad leaders. What's so funny is the two women that he talks about who had the technological and the scientific background in in politics. One of them weirdly was Margaret Thatcher, who was a biochemist of some sort. I mean, she had a scientific background. And there was someone else I was very surprised about. Can't remember now. But there were a couple of women. Only a couple of politicians were named as politicians who had the combination of political knowledge and technological knowledge to be of that old ilk of politicians who weren't just politicians. Those there were only a couple of leaders that came up. Angela Merkel, I think, was the other one. There was Angela Merkel and Margaret Thatcher. And again, no matter what you think of them, I thought that was interesting that the only two politicians leaders that came up who with a proper scientific background were the two women. So I would, I know that I'm sure that was just trying to cause some fun turmoil, but the reality is, I think you could not be wronger. Wronger. There you go. They also speak better. I can't imagine you being more wrong. Honestly, I think men have proven themselves to be absolutely terrible leaders, and I'm sure some women have as well. But I think I think we need different perspectives on this stuff, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you look at the makeup of politics and see all these sort of like either slimy or old white guys, running things. Oh God, I mean, me being one of them. I'm a greasy old white guy. It's even worse. David, you kind of tell us, how would you feel about SGA reunion if possible? Oh, I'd love to do that. That'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. I mean, I much prefer it to be in the form of a new show, but yeah, I love any chance I get to hang out with my old Stargate buddies. I love it. He's marketing his company for sure. Yeah, Darth Burn, so true. But without some of this, how would we communicate to each other? Do we try and build a system that does not push us down certain paths? Yeah, I mean, communication, obviously, what's the weird thing is communication helps, but it also hinders. I mean, look at the fact that, I mean, I'm a big fan of communication. I think that, a lot of our issues would just, we could, if we could actually sort of sit down and talk with people, I think it does a world of good, in most cases, not all cases, but most cases. And the internet was supposed to do that. I mean, the whole idea, the promise of the internet was going to be, instant communication and community and the ability to send files and get work done faster and all that kind of stuff, which definitely has all of which has come to fruition. But at the same time, look how it's divided us. It's extraordinary. And now I would say the internet is no longer a cohesive whole. Anyways, it's broken up into these little splinter nets that have have their own little bubbles of reality, really. I mean, mine included too. I mean, I know for sure I'm wrong about many things. So, best thing a drone was used for was to find a toddler lost the far side of the farm here. Wow, Natasha Brown. See, again, that's the stuff. I mean, I would never damn technology in general as just evil. I mean, the idea that we would use AI as a weapon doesn't make it evil. I think it can, it's already being used to some extent. It's being used to test our security systems. It's being used to test new software. It's being used in numerous different ways. I always come back. I do worry a bit about a decision to automate with AI sooner than we're ready for. But I think but we know that people are going to do that already. Look at what's happening with the drones in Ukraine. Look at the way, both the Ukrainians and Putin's minions are using the technology now. That's a drone war. I mean, that is a software war. There was cyber attacks and counter cyber attacks and drone attacks and counter drone attacks. I mean, I think it's a bit disgusting, because I feel like the rest of the world is going to benefit from this. They're all going to benefit from this basically testing ground, this human testing ground. And I just, it's again why I feel like we should be supporting Ukraine more than that. So, All right, how are we doing here? Oh my God, I've been babbling on for 34 minutes. Hope you saw my XO for your work. Thank you, Heather. Did I see your XO? If I didn't, well, thank you, XO. Right back at you. Adam Cross, totally off topic. You sound so different in your native voice. Always watch the German version. Someone said it's really annoying, that the German voice is actually really, really annoying. Can it be more annoying than mine is the question. Good morning to Lockwatcher. Good morning to you. It is important to take in perspectives that may not be the same as your own. Yes, TARDIS and Timbits. And I do think that, for a while there, we did get a little bit too up our own butts about offending people. That said, given a choice, should we try not to? Yes, absolutely. Why would you want to offend people? At the same time, I think people do need to be shocked by other people's views and stuff. I mean, I think that's a part of discourse. I mean, I think there is discomfort in learning. There is discomfort in learning the truth. There is, and I think we just need to be able to. I mean, I'm a big believer in freedom of speech. I think that's very, very important. But I think we need to be careful that it isn't just. I mean, we worry so much about sort of the government stepping on people's rights, and but it doesn't just have to be the government that does that. I mean, the perfect example for me is like watching kids on YouTube, and the way, and I mean kids, I mean sort of late teens type thing, where they've got their own lingo for stuff. They've had to go around the guidelines that Google have given them or the rules or the algorithms that sort of force people into these various different paths. Like, there's so many things you can't talk about on YouTube anymore for fear of, ticking off an advertiser or something for Google that their people are self-censoring. They're not talking about the important stuff because the important stuff gets them dropped down the algorithm list of things that people will watch. I mean, there is definitely a push by the algorithm to more, silly, fun, nonsensical stuff, or even, I mean, we've watched people get radicalized by the same algorithm. So, yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how my YouTube recommends will change as I get, as I explore some of the stuff that this technological republic is talking about. So, okay, look, I'm babbling way too long, and you're gonna get lots and lots and lots of me. Yeah, I don't agree with everything Emily and Alex say, but it's really an interesting point and laid out. I'm going to a group tonight with one of the authors. Is that's the AI con? Yeah, exactly. I mean that's the beauty of it. And Elizabeth, I thank you for being a voice. Elizabeth and I are amazing at not having the same opinion on things. But that's the joy of discourse, isn't it? It's the joy of being able to speak to stuff. Elizabeth, I'd be really curious to see what you think of this one, by the way, this technological republic thing. I think you'll hate it, but at the same time, I think there's some really interesting stuff in there. A bunch of congressmen and former practicing doctors. Yes. Yeah. I mean, there you go. I mean, I think that helps. I think there's, I'm not making a blanket statement about all politicians. It's just that the way politicians have mutated over the years is they've gone from people with a well-rounded background in many things to career politicians, or even worse, actors. Although that said, you can't make generalizations, because look at Ukraine again. That's been run by an actor. He's brilliant. He's wonderful. He's an inspiration to, I think, should be an inspiration to a lot of people. Darth Piran loves debate too. Good. Can someone tell me what David is saying he thinks I'd be interested in? Oh, it's the book Technological Republic is the book that I'm listening to right now. Respectful debate. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Do you see my message? I had to take a call. I missed the messages. What were the messages? David, it's 12:10. If you need to do anything before the interview with James Gurney. Thank you, John. Good point. Look, everybody, head on over to techbandit.org. Check it out. There's a little donation thing there. And I would welcome and appreciate any help that is available, whether that be through a Patreon, or there's a PayPal thing there as well, or even just buy a couple of T-shirts or something from the shop. That'd be amazing. I'll take anything I can get. I appreciate it very much. And I'm going to take a little break, and then not much of a break because we got James Gurney coming. James Gurney and I will be discussing the world of microbiology and phages, I'm hoping, and that will be happening at 1 o'clock. So we'll see you then. So until we geek again very soon, I will say, be brave, be kind, be brilliant, cheerio, and huzzah! See you in like